Hey guys, Virgin Vinyl with you again today. I've got something really cool that I picked up at the record fair I went to a couple of weekends ago. I already showed I picked up Deep Purple Burn there. And the other album that I picked up that I was really happy to find was Caravanserai by Santana. Now, this is many times my favorite album, although I do love the first three albums as well. They're all really cool. But here is where Santana's love of jazz rock fusion started making its way into the music itself and really influencing the direction that the band would go in. This was released in 1972 and let's take it out of the plastic there. There's nothing to see with the vinyl, I think, but there's the album cover. As you can see, like when it was cut, they like cut it pretty close to the, like cut the word, or almost cut the words off there. Anyway, I'm not sure. I would have thought that this is an Israeli pressing. I don't know if the American pressings had a colorless background like that. But in my experience so far, my limited experience, as you know, I've started collecting in November last year, so I'm still very much a newbie. But you know, I'm up to like over 80 records that I have here, and I've got 21 records to pick up when I travel to America in July. In my experience, the Israeli pressings, which some of the albums I've got are Israeli pressings, tend to have issues with the color. You know, the album covers themselves might not have the full color spectrum that you would normally find on some of the other pressing nationalities, and like quite often the back will be like that, will be gray. And so when I saw that, I just figured it was, but on the bottom it does say manufactured by CBS Records. So I think that means it's a US pressing, but I don't know. Maybe you can tell me in the comments if what I've shown you has given you any clues. So, and before I move forward, if you're enjoying my videos and you like what I do, it would be really appreciated if you could hit that subscribe button, like the video, all that good stuff. This is a new channel. Thought it'd just be a bit of fun to show a new record every single day. A lot of jazz rock fusion, a lot of prog, and a lot of metal, mostly death metal. That's what you're mostly gonna get here on the channel. And I'm gonna, like, you know, each record I show, I'm gonna try and show a little bit of information just off the top of my head of what I know about that album. And you know, you guys can always correct me in the comments, and I'm always interested to learn about albums and bands and the interesting stories. So if I get anything wrong, let me know. And I'm always very interested to know. Anyway, so I'm not a Santana expert by any means, but from what I know is, you know, of course, they released the first self-titled album, Santana, which is fantastic, and sort of immediately make waves. They play Woodstock, and, you know, in my opinion, really steal the show. Like I think they're the best band that plays at Woodstock, and you know, it's debatable whether that's Hendrix, but I don't think it's Hendrix's greatest performance, and that's a great performance anyway. But I think just Santana was just absolutely kicking, super groovy and tight and rocking, and you know, it was awesome stuff. If you haven't watched Santana live at Woodstock, go check it out. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. Then of course they did Abraxas, which is an incredible album. I love that album, really cool. And then Santana 3, also really good. I love all three of those albums, and it would be hard to pick. I would probably say maybe Abraxas is my favorite, but out of those three. But then by the time they get to this point, of course, in 1970, you have Miles. Was it no? When was it? When did Miles release Bitches Brew? Was that 1970 or was that 1969? Anyway, around that time, when Miles went electric, that had a really big impact on Carlos Santana and the rest of the band. And I mean, it had a massive impact on everyone in the music business, and especially in the jazz world and the rock world, and you know, it was a game changer. And you know, for people who are into sort of like musical freedom and expression, you know, it really was an exciting time. And that influence from Miles's electric band, especially Bitches Brew, like had a big impact on the way Carlos Santana saw music and wanted to play music. And by the time we get to this album, this is where it starts to really manifest, because now you're starting to see a lot more jazz rock fusion, you know, whereas in the first three albums, it's much more rock and roll infused with Latin rhythms. Really revolutionary, really unique, very cool. They totally changed the game as well in that regard. But they were more of a rock band that soloed, you know. Here, it's like they sort of switch into a jazz rock fusion band that occasionally does songs. And it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it opens with this sort of meditative, eternal caravan of reincarnation, and then it moves into Waves Within, which has this really cool, hypnotic kind of bass line, and it really feels like waves of music that sort of slide over you as that thing proceeds. Very, very cool. I'm not like, this is, you know, some albums, like, especially with jazz rock, I very rarely know the song names very well, because I usually put the music on and I'm closing my eyes and I'm in the music, you know. And so I'm not sure from memory like which song is which on here, but I mean, when I put this on, it's like it sort of sends me into a meditative state, the whole album, and I just kind of, it takes me on this ride, you know, I feel like I'm in this caravan here of camels going through the desert. And what a beautiful album cover that is too. Absolutely love it. I've always thought it was so cool. It really sends you to another place. Here, you know, we've got like, I think what's happened by this stage is that some of the original members of Santana had left, but there was, but still some of them were here as well. So you've got, of course, Mike Shrive, Neil Schon, Tom Rutley, Hadley Calaman, Wendy Haas, James Mingo Lewis, Doug Rauch. Doug Rauch is the incredible bass player, one of the bass players from the 70s that gets really overlooked. He was doing the up and down thumb thing that Victor Wooten made famous. Plane flying overhead, of course. It's like every single video I do out here. Anyway, you know, Doug Rauch got, you know, like anybody who knows bass playing, who knows it properly, knows who Victor Wooten is and why he's famous. He's famous for this up and down thumb technique that he uses on the bass, so he can get like these like triplets and quadruplets by like going dun dun dat dat, like that, dun dun dat dat, dun dun dat dat. And he can do different patterns of that, right? But with the up and down thumb coming through the string rather than bouncing it, like Flea bounces his thumb on the string like that. Anyway, Doug was kind of doing that way before Victor came along. He in a slightly different way. He was like more using his thumb like a pick, you know, but it's very similar and it's very, very cool. And so, you know, Doug, if you come across a jazz rock fusion album that has Doug Rauch on it on bass, you're in for a good time because the dude can play. And he's really unsung. You know, everybody talks about Jaco, rightly so. He's great. I love Jaco, big influence on me. But there's other guys too from the 70s that really deserve much more love and respect and that don't get it. And he's one of them. And you know, around this time, Carlos started to investigate sort of spirituality and different mystical traditions, religious traditions and stuff like that. And for a time he was a devotee of Sri Chinmoy, like John McLaughlin, and was given the name Devadip. But unlike Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin, it didn't really stick for long, I think. But he would then, the year after this, he would do that incredible album with John McLaughlin, which is just the two of them burning all over the place. Incredible. I've got that. I've showed that in one of the earlier episodes. Anyway, guys, fantastic stuff. Maybe Santana's best album. It's many days of the week I'll say this is my favorite. I absolutely love it because, you know, I'm always going to lean more towards the jazz rock fusion over just like a straight rock, especially when it's burning, you know, especially when it's like cooking like this is. And this is absolutely cooking. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I love this album. All right, guys, that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.